Alright, so if you're here, we've sold you on Fire Mage, so let's get on with the sustained damage priority list so you know exactly how much value you should place onto each of your damaging abilities. Just remember, this isn't a rotation, okay? This is just how much power is behind your spells, so you can make your own informed choices when you're using them. So to kick things off in our sustained priority, we have Pyroblast with the Hot Streak buff. This is a buff that's going to proc either randomly from critting once or guaranteed from critting 2 times in a row. Pyroblast is our hardest hitting ability, which also applies a damage over time effect and therefore should always be consumed as soon as possible. So when consuming Hot Streak, we should ideally be using it into a freeze effect so we can shatter it, making it crit and deal far more damage and giving us a huge ignite in the process. Following Hot Streak Pyroblast, we then have Living Bomb, which will deal the bulk of your consistent damage. We want to have this up on our kill target at all times so our enemies aren't full health going into our setup. If we're playing a comp where we utilize spread pressure like MLS or Boomkin Mage, we can also maintain this on off targets to make it harder for the enemy healer. After these steps, we then have Cone of Cold, which may seem out of place, but it's actually one of the most vital aspects of Fire Mage damage. Because of the shatter mechanic, Cone of Cold is going to be one of the main ways we're going to generate hot streaks, so we're going to want to be using this in conjunction with Scorch and Fire Blast as often as possible. Since both of these abilities will hit at the same time, we'll have a very high chance at generating a hot streak from this combo. And as a last note, just remember that Cone of Cold has its own root diminishing return, so don't worry about overlapping with your teammates' roots. So moving on, we'll then be placing Fire Blast, as this ability will constantly be resetting its cooldown due to impact, and is a great source of instant damage that can contribute to our hot streak. It also has a 8% higher chance to crit than our other abilities due to improved Fire Blast. Following Fire Blast, we'll be using Scorch to also contribute to our hot streak and shatter with our Fire Blast into freeze effects. Scorch is our main filler due to it not costing any mana and being able to be used while casting and having a very short cast time. After this, we'll then utilize Blast Wave, as this can give us multiple chances of proccing impact, and it's going to snare all targets it hits, allowing us to kite easier and also prevent our enemies from escaping our burst. Next up comes Flame Orb, which doesn't really do damage on its own and is generally just used for a bit of extra pad as well as generating impact stuns. And finally, we'll be placing Fireball last, as although it does contribute to our hot streak, it has a much longer cast time than Scorch, and it comes with a mana cost, making it far less desirable to cast. And that concludes our sustained priority. Coming up next, we'll be covering our core abilities, starting with Hot Streak and how we can manipulate it to our advantage.